Hello YNABers, my name is Jesse Meekum from You Need a Budget. Yes, you do. And this is another Whiteboard Wednesday. Today I want to talk about your real priorities. I've made this black box here with your real priorities inside. When you are lacking in achieving your real priorities, you feel anxiety. You'll know it. You'll feel real anxiety. If you are achieving your real priorities, you feel contentment. You aren't looking for the next raise necessarily. You aren't looking for some kind of a windfall. Things are just going well. You feel content. Your real priorities, I believe, are a subset, sometimes kind of a small subset, not monetarily, but kind of from a line item standpoint, of your budget as a whole. We have all sorts of obligations, impulses, and whims, and then we have our real priorities. I'm going to tell you some of mine, not to make them yours, only to illustrate the point. Some of my real priorities are that we are always saving a good percentage of our income. The business, I hope, does well, and I hope that eventually is my retirement and all of that, but that aside, we still pretend like we're just employees and we're just saving for our retirement like I would if I'd followed my original career path of being an accountant, just saving that money. That is one of my real priorities. Another one is that we are always medically covered from catastrophes. Another one is that we are feeding the family fairly healthy food. And I like to go on trips, not massively extravagant trips, but one of the priorities that's kind of come about for us over the last several years is that we want to go on trips. So that's kind of the gist of our priorities. The big one for me, the one that keeps my anxiety level low, is the savings. And I'm just wired that way. It's actually been a little bit of a struggle for me. And I'll get into that in just one second. But the object, at the end of the day, if you want to just simplify the budget and all the rules down into this one idea, it's that you're achieving your real priorities and you're making sure that the impulses and whims, as they try and attack those real priorities and kind of impede on its real estate, that you can fend them off. And so what you want is for the obligations not to start forcing those real priorities to shrink, or your impulses and whims like, oh, that new tech looks fantastic, I'd love to get that. Maybe it's an impulse or a whim. You want to deflect that and make sure that those real priorities are protected. The object of the budget is, at the end of the day, just to protect those priorities and make sure that you're not anxious because those priorities are actually very, very small. Here's where you care, and this is the actual purpose of this Whiteboard Wednesday today for this episode, is not to talk about how the budget helps you achieve these priorities. I really want to talk to those people that can't let it go as it relates to caring about everything. And I am king of that land. I am president of that club. I'm working hard on trying to define concretely what my real priorities are, and then I'm really working hard on trying to relax about all of the other details. All of these things where I'm saying I try not to care. I try not to care so much about the small stuff, just about all of the other things that aren't about our savings, being medically covered, feeding the kids, going on vacations that we truly enjoy as a family. Beyond that, whether we spend $3 or $7, $12 or $10, $40 or $80 on this or that thing, as the household is just kind of a big whirlwind, I'm trying to let that go. And I'm trying to find solace in the idea that if I'm meeting my real priorities here, then I don't have anxiety and I do feel content. And the rest of it, I can just kind of let it be. The end goal for me would be to have just enough line items of the obligations to have clarity around it so that I could see if obligations were attacking my real priorities, and have just enough line items, just enough granularity on the whims and impulses to recognize that they were impeding on my real priorities. But at the end of the day, I want the simplest budget that just says, Jesse, you're meeting them. Relax. So maybe take that as an example today and look to see where you maybe are manufacturing some anxiety about things that you shouldn't really care about. If you're hitting your goals, if you're paying down your debt, you're doing it at a pace that is acceptable for you, that has freed you from real anxiety, don't try and manufacture more anxiety over here in the place where you really shouldn't care if this is working out just fine. I'll see you guys next week.